Hey there. So you've seen this little cute bag blasted all across my YouTube channel. This is the tutorial that we are going to do today. It is for the Magnolia Rae Traveler Pouch by Sunshine Stitches. This has to be the cutest little bag there ever could be. So versatile, so many uses. And we're going to sew it up together. So hi, I'm Teresa from Tree60 Handmade Bags, and welcome to my sewing studio. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. And if this is your first time hanging out with me, thanks for coming aboard. And if you think about subscribing, in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little red button that says subscribe. Just click on that and subscribe. Make sure that the bell notification is set to see all posts and all notifications, and then you'll be good to go for whenever I post and publish new videos like this one. So we are doing the Magnolia Rae Traveler Pouch. I was privileged to be a pattern tester for this bag that Brenna designed when she was pregnant with her baby girl, Magnolia Rae, who the pattern is named after. This is a cute little pouch. It's very versatile. So we're not showing the one that we're going to make because we're still going to be making that, but I do have two. Look at this. This is my 40 or 42 ounce water tumbler. Look at how it will attach on with a Velcro or hook and loop strap. Look at this. How cute is that? There is a connector here and here that you can turn this into a crossbody bag, or you can use it as a wristlet, or you have this removable Velcro hook and loop strap that you can take off the bag and just use it as a crossbody or a wristlet. And the bag itself inside is, well, okay, so there's the crossbody strap for this bag. This bag and the other one I'm going to show you, the vinyl that I have used is from Sam Fabric Creations in Quebec. So it's as gorgeous. This one is this gorgeous purple and orange with metallic orange sides. There's the crossbody strap. But inside, and the lining is also from Sam Fabric as well. On the inside, there are 3 card slots, but I'm sure there's room enough to put 2 cards in each slot. You know, it's the greatest little bag for grab and go, lots of room for your phone. Actually, let me get my phone. I have a Samsung S23 Ultra, so it's the biggest phone that Samsung makes, probably the biggest one on the market. And now I have corners, but it fits in there perfectly. So if you're wanting to if you're going to the gym and you just want to carry your water and you just want to have your phone handy with you, some cards, you know, and just some essentials, this is the perfect bag. I've seen people using this strap. They don't put it on the tumbler, but what they do is they use it and wrap it around their arm so that when they go running, they have their phone and they have their cards and ID with them. But isn't this just the other version? I had 4 of these cut out because the pattern launch was in February of 2025, and right now we're in August of 2025. I had 2 of the orange and purple ones cut out and 2 of these beautiful pink cheetah. This is from Sam Fabric Creation as well. And I had 2 of each of these cut out to do with the pattern launch so long. And I wasn't able to do it. I had too much going on personal, family-wise. So I made these up. So at least I get to show these off and show you guys what they're like. Also in the pattern tester, or the pattern itself, these are all the demo bags that we all did as pattern testers. And here's mine with the beige Mora faux leather. So I'm published now. It's a pattern, it's not my pattern, but I'm published. So anyhow, this is what we're doing. We are doing the Magnolia Rae Traveler Pouch, Brenna's pattern from Sunshine Stitches. But before I forget, because I'm doing the tutorial and I've already done the cutting out video, that should already have been published at this point in time, but Brenna is offering a 10% discount off the pattern. And can you see in the background, I forgot to take these down. She has these wonderful acrylic template pieces, one for each of her pattern pieces, and it tells you what each piece is for, and then it comes with this great little cable to hook them all together. They are in a, they all have a hole in them. Okay, so I have never used templates before in cutting out my patterns. I always print the pattern when I download the PDF. I print the pattern pages, and I've also done a video on how I laminate each of my pattern pages and then cut them out, tape them together, and that's what I use as my template. Well, I'm a convert. I can't believe how fast it took me when I did the cutting out video today and recorded that, how fast it took me to map out on my fabric for the exterior and the lining and the foam, how fast it took me to map out 6 bags. Now I call it mapping out. I don't know what you guys call it, but it's, you know, just tracing all the pattern pieces, all the acrylic pattern pieces on your fabric and ready to cut. Now I didn't cut them because I wasn't going to bore anybody with just cutting out pattern pieces. There are people out there who are very, very gifted that can lay this template down and then just whip, whip, whip with their rotary cutter. I'm not one of those talented and gifted people. I'll do the old school, trace it around, and then I'll cut it out by hand. I absolutely loved using Brenna's templates. You've got to get these. They're an amazing investment, and you won't regret purchasing them, because this is a bag that you are going to make a lot of, and I honestly believe you're going to sell them fast. That beige one that's in the pattern that I had pictures of in the pattern, I listed that and it sold right away. So that was the only one that I had available at that time, because I just, of course, made these ones a couple of days ago. So really think about investing in the templates. Definitely well worth it. So with that in mind, again, on Brenna's Etsy store, which is Sunshine Stitches, she is offering until August 22nd, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're in Canada, that's Alberta time. I'm in Ontario, so, and then it's, I guess, straight down into the US is her time zone as well. It's Central Standard Time. So August 22nd, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time is when the sale ends. 10% off. I will post the link to her Etsy store with the code, and the code is Tree60. So Tree, T-R-E-E, and 60, of course, because I'm Tree60 Handmade Bags. You get 10% off, not just the pattern if you purchase the pattern, but also those templates as well. Definitely, I'm in love with the templates. Sorry, I never thought I would be. I thought, oh, you know, Brenna said, do you think you might do a cutting out video if you had the templates? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll do it. But, you know, but boy, I'll tell you, I raved about those templates during my cutting out video. Anyways, that's enough. Okay, so we are now, I'm just going to show you what today's bag is going to be made out of, because as I said in the cutting out video, I cut out 6 bags. I ran out of the exterior faux leather, the red, but I will be ordering more. So I am using for the exterior faux leather, because I'm making a Canadiana series. I'm doing a number of vendor shows, craft markets in the fall and Christmas, and I'm going to start off with making these 6 bags. We're in a high tourist area here where I live and where all the craft markets are, and I'm going to be doing Canadiana bags. So the full exterior of the bag is with this red Rex faux leather from Emmeline Bags in Alberta, and then the front panel of the bag is this white Rex Faux Leather. And what I am going to do is I am going to embroider a red maple leaf on the front of here, on the front of the white front panel, and then the rest of the bag is going to be red. So you have, for your pattern pieces, you have your exterior back and your exterior front, and then you have a lining for the back. And I'm using the red, this really nice red. It's red pack cloth from Emmeline Bags, and it is a 400 denier weight. So this really makes a nice lining. It has a nice sheen to it. And then I have two pieces of foam, one for the front and one for the back. Now the other piece of the lining, I'm sticking to everything. The other piece of the lining is when you get your card slots made, because that'll go on your front panel. When you get your card slots made and you have your card slot wings on either side, then it'll be shaped with the pattern to create the front lining piece, which will match that. So when I did the cutting out video, I only cut out the foam for the front and back panel. But I think what I'm going to do before I make up this bag, I'm going to cut out foam for the bottom gusset. So I have the exterior and the lining for the bottom gusset. And here is the zipper gusset, or the zipper lining, the red exterior and the pack cloth. So I'll do also a foam for that. It's hot. It's like 28 degrees Celsius, and it's just after 7 o'clock in the evening. This is your back. On the back here is the little pocket, slip pocket to put your strap, your removable strap for the that you put onto your Velcro. And I also will need a D-ring, which I didn't get out as part of my hardware, but I'll be using not a D-ring but a rectangle ring. So this is the back, that back strap. Then I have two D-ring connectors, two pieces of that, and I have, of course, I have a zipper pull, a number 5 zipper pull. Oh, and then these are the strap tabs for the back, for each end of that Velcroed strap. So this is the zipper I'm going to be using. It's just white zipper by the yard with silver teeth. I get my zipper by the yard from Amazon.ca. Of course, it's .ca because I'm in Canada, and I get 10 yards. You can get, I think they have many different colors of the zipper tape, of the zipper teeth. You get matching zipper pulls to go with the zipper teeth. This is just one style. It's the bottle cap style, and the other ones, it can be quite a large, substantial pull. But I get it, it's 10 yards. You get about 15 or 20 or maybe 25 zipper pulls that go with the tape, and it's $20, maybe $25 for the 10 yards plus the zipper pulls. I haven't found it any cheaper anywhere else. So if you're in the US, check your Amazon in the US. You'll probably find it all there too. So I use this a lot for all of my zipper. You're going to need a certain size for the hook and loop. I call it, oh, I can't even get it apart. I call it Velcro. We all know what it is. It's like a little burr in a strip. And then this is the wristlet strap. So I'll be making a wristlet as well. I didn't get the D-ring connectors or the lobster clasp. I didn't do that. And there's my 1-inch webbing to make that strap that affixes your bag onto your tumbler bottle. And I still have to figure out decide what I'm going to do for the actual crossbody strap. If I'm going to use just webbing, like black webbing, or if I'm going to make the strap out of the red Rex Faux Leather. So there we have it. Now, I said I was going to embroider on the front. Sorry, I have clips everywhere, and I'm sticking to everything. So I said I was going to embroider on the front panel of the bag, all the white ones. a red maple leaf. So right now I have the front panel all set up and ready to go on my embroidery hoop. One thing I forgot to mention is the front panels I have ironed on the Nylon Bags EB Fuse Heavy Woven interfacing. Love, love, love the interfacing from Nylon Bags. It's the EB Fuse Woven. You get it in heavy, light, heavy, medium, and light. I always use the heavy. You can see the difference in how floppy this is and what it's like just with one layer of the EB Fuse Heavy. It makes a significant difference in interfacing. But what I do is I put it on anything that I'm going to be embroidering so that it keeps this material from puckering as the needle goes in at a billion miles an hour. So I have this one already lined up in the hoop, and I'm going to, we're going to watch it make a maple leaf in my Brother Innovus NQ 3600D sewing and embroidery machine that I got used, and I got a great deal on Facebook Marketplace. So stay with me. Don't worry, you're not going to have to watch through the whole 20 minutes of a maple leaf being embroidered. I'm going to start it off, explain what I'm doing, just so that you can see it, just in case those who have never seen it before can see it. I had never seen it before until 2 months ago when I got the machine and figured out how to use it, and can do a lot of embroidery on the bags that I do. But I'm going to put the camera on hyperlapse, and we'll see how that goes. And thumbs up, we hope it's going to work. All right, so stick with me and I will be back. Okay, so now we're all set up with the embroidery hoop in the sewing embroidery machine. I have my front panel already set. The hoop is in the arm, the embroidery arm, and this is what we're going to be looking at. So I'm going to just turn it over to the screen that you see here. So right here you see the maple leaf on the screen, and it's all ready. It's a small maple leaf. It's just one color that we're doing, and it's all ready and set up, and it's oriented north and south, which is the way I want it. I've already made the adjustments for centering it. And when I hit the embroidery button, you can see up here, it takes 7,718 stitches. It's supposed to take 14 minutes to complete the whole maple leaf. And then I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit embroider. Okay, and then we're going to turn it back. So I'm just going to get this started so you can see it in action when it starts. And what it'll do, it'll make a real mess on the fabric on the top. I have it, before I forget, I also have it taped down to this right here is tearaway stabilizer. You have to have stabilizer inserted into your hoop and then your fabric put on top. So the front panel I just have taped on with double-sided tape just out of the stitching line because I don't want my needle to get gummed up. So it's going to do a very stylized, messy looking maple leaf at first. And it's going to look like something from a kid's Etch-a-Sketch. But that just maps out the maple leaf on the embroidery hoop and on the fabric. And it also helps to tack down this panel onto the hoop so that there isn't any movement. So I am going to lower the presser foot, which you can see right here. I'm just going to lower the presser foot. And now this button, the start button, is green. And I'm just going to line everything back up so that you can see. I can't get an overhead shot, but I'm going to press the start button and it's going to start to embroider. Now I'm going to stop it because, as you can see, I have what's called a jump stitch. I don't want that caught in any of the stitching, so what I use are my tweezers and my snips. There they are. Okay, so I'm just going to, I just use my tweezers and then my snips to snip it right down, and then I start it up again. So after it's run for a little bit, I'm going to stop it, and then I'm going to put it on hyperlapse and let it go and record at full speed. And this machine will also adjust its speed according to how it has to stitch out this this program. It amazes me, the thought process of how somebody has to, the designer of these machine embroidery designs, how they can program something. This is simple. This is just a one color change. I've done other embroideries like my bumblebees and that take, it may only have 4 colors, but it might have a total of 10 or 15 thread changes. And this is just one color, so this is great. And right now I'm just using red Gutermann Sozall thread. It's a polyester thread, and it works. It's the right weight. It's a 40 weight, I think. Text weight is 23 or 25. But anyhow, you can see it mapping out the Etch-a-Sketch kind of looking maple leaf, and now it's going to start doing a little bit more intricate mapping it out and embroidering it. Okay, and I'm just going to stop the machine right now, and you can just see right here how it's starting to fill in everything. So here it's just kind of done the base lines of tacking down the fabric and stuff. Now I'm going to put the video on hyperlapse, and we're going to see how this works. All right, so that was pretty cool, watching the hyperlapse of the maple leaf being embroidered onto the front panel of the Magnolia Rae. So it's finished now. The red button is on. So now I just lift the lever and slide the hoop out very carefully to make sure that the embroidery presser foot doesn't get caught on anything. And there it is. Now it might be, I'm just going to back up a little. So there it is. How beautiful is that? So I just unhoop it. I just unscrew the hoop, pop it out from the top, take the panel out, and what we have is the it's all embroidered onto the back as well. This is the stabilizer that I was telling you about. So it's tearaway. So what you do is you just rip it, and it has some double-sided tape, and you just rip around the back of the embroidery, what's been stitched around the embroidery, and it tears away perfectly, and all the tape is coming with it too. And I'm just left, and that's the back of the embroidery panel, and then I'll just cut those threads. But there it is. That's one of the fronts of the Magnolia Rae bag that we're going, or that's the front of the Magnolia Rae Traveler Pouch that I am going to record the video on next, and we'll start at that point, and we'll see you then. All right, and we're now back for the actual tutorial of the Magnolia Rae Traveler Pouch from Sunshine Stitches. So just before I forget, please remember, it will be linked in the description box below in this video. If you want to get the pattern, Brenna from Sunshine Stitches is offering 10% off for anybody who purchases the pattern through her Etsy store, Sunshine Stitches on Etsy. 10% off using the code Tree60, and I'll have that direct link in the description box on this tutorial. So everything 10% off is the pattern. And you can see in the background those yellow glow-in-the-dark templates that I did the cutting out video for of the Magnolia Rae. So 10% off those, 10% off the pattern, and the link will be in the description box as well. The sale ends August 22nd at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So get your pattern or get your templates. I'm telling you, I never used templates before, and like I've said before, those templates are a game changer. So this is what I have so far. I have my strap. I'm going to be doing, because we're doing I'm doing Canadiana bags. I've cut 6 out for upcoming craft shows this fall and winter. And I didn't have enough of the red Rex, so I'm going to make a white strap. And then the front panel, we did the maple leaf. We embroidered the maple leaf, which you just saw. I've already put my foam on the back. Everything's sticking. It's going to be one of those steamy hot days today. The back of the bag is the red. Now, usually I put my bag tag on the front of the bag, but I don't want to take away from the maple leaf at the front. So my bag tag is going to be is on the back of the bag. I have already put the foam on, and I put the bag tag on, and then I put a piece of foam over top to protect the back lining from rubbing on the prongs and the washer so that it doesn't rub out. So that's the back lining. And again, I'm using the pack cloth from Nylon bags. So the front panel will be when we construct the card slots. That'll be the front lining panel. And I've already put the foam on the bottom gusset, exterior and lining. I've already put the foam. Now on the cutting out video, I only cut the foam out for the front and the back panel. I forgot, yes, I did put foam on the bottom gusset panel and the zipper panel gusset as well. So I've already put those on, and I've already got prepared the strap tabs. We need 2. I'm not using the strap tabs for the strap. I'm just using them for the adjustable Velcro strap to go around your tumbler. I've already put double-sided tape on those. Oops, like I said, everything's sticking. That's the back little slip pocket that you slide your removable tumbler strap in, your adjustable tumbler strap. I've got my hook and loop, or Velcro is what I call it. I have the 2 D-ring connectors ready to go, already marked down the center and with double-sided 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape on either side. I have my wristlet strap. So I'm doing the wristlet in red. I have marked down the center and put the 1/8 inch double-sided tape on that. So what we're going to work on right now, is the strap. Okay, so the strap I'm doing in the white, excuse me, the white Rex Faux Leather from Nylon Bags. And I'm using, the thread I'm using is Gutermann heavy duty thread. It has to have at least a 50 tex weight on it. And, excuse me, it's in the morning and I need more coffee. Excuse me. So it's just Gutermann heavy duty thread that I get at Walmart. Nope, nothing fancy. So my strap, because when you get your fabric, whether you buy it in a 1/2 meter, 1/2 yard, or meter, however you get it, it's typically a meter is 39 inches wide. A yard is 36 inches. But the length of it is approximately 54 or 55 inches. When you get your material, just keep in mind that if you're going to be making your own strap, make sure you cut the strap length out before you start cutting the pieces, your pattern pieces, because what'll happen is you'll cut off that length, and then your strap won't be long enough to make an actual, say, 54, 55-inch length strap. So another rule of thumb, this, I am going to be making a 1/2 inch wide strap when it's finished. So I cut a 2-inch wide piece of fabric. Then when we fold it in and fold it in again, it'll be a half inch. If you're making a 1-inch strap, you cut 4-inch wide strip. And if you're making a 1.5 inch wide strap, you cut a 6-inch wide strap. So because this, I didn't know that I would be making just a white strap. It's not long enough. This is only 47 inches. And I want it to be ideally 55 inches. It's not going to be an adjustable strap because I don't have a 1/2 inch wide adjustable strap tri-glide. So I've cut another little piece. This piece is 8 inches long. So what we would typically do is attach it and make it longer. But because this would drive me crazy, having this section this length and then all of a sudden here, it just wouldn't look balanced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half. Yeah, I know it's sewing it up twice, but it'll look balanced for when the swivel clasps are attached. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this 8-inch piece and I'm going to just cut it in half. And then we're going to attach it on either end, and then it's going to be balanced. And yes, I am going to be using red thread throughout. So all of my white will have a red thread. So what you do is you take the right side of your long part of the strap, you take the right side of your extra piece and you put them right sides together. I may be doing this wrong. Let me see what I'm doing on this side. I have to make sure I'm doing it right so that I'm attaching it the right way. Yeah, okay, we're doing it the right way. I'm doing it the right way. Okay, so your strap, your additional piece, they go corner to corner like this. I'm sticking. Like I said, it's going to be hot today. And I'm just going to be clipping them together. Just like that. I'm going to mark, so because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sewing from this corner to this corner, right across here. And then when you open it up, your strap will be all one piece. But because I can't see that back corner, I'm just going to take my pen and just mark where that corner is here, so that when I can start at this corner and then sew straight across to that corner. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Make sure I line this up the right way. I've done it the wrong way, believe me. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to, I better get my coffee out of the way, it'll start shaking. Okay. The light just got knocked off. Okay, so I'm just going to sew corner to corner, making sure that you back stitch front at the start and stop. Oh, my stitch length is too big. And I'm just sewing corner, excuse me, corner to corner. I didn't draw a line. I think we can see where corner to corner is, pretty much. Do it on this side. It's early in the morning and it's already hot. This has been an extremely hot summer, unusually hot. You know, we do get hot summers up where I live here, but it's just just too much. Okay, so now what we have is we've now created a join on both sides. So now they are even looking. Yeah, you're going to still see stitches, but so what I do is I take this extra corner, I trim it down to about 1/2 inch. And then I fold open the right sides and then just kind of finger press the back pieces together. And then I'm going to top stitch on either side of this stitch line here. So then we have a little bit of a detail there. So I'm just top stitching on either side 1/8 inch seam allowance. And then I'll go up the other side. And then I'll do it for both sides. Oops, didn't get caught in over too much. I talk to myself a lot. I tell people, yeah, well, I'm self-employed, so I'm having a staff meeting. But I do talk a lot. I talk a lot and I talk to myself a lot. I used to drive my principal crazy because I would sit there and talk to myself and work things out, and he'd come out and he'd think didn't know if I was talking to him or All right, almost done. Okay, I wanted to show how this was done, how you attach a piece on. Okay. Okay, so we have now added a piece onto one end and then the same amount to the other end, so that when you just meet up the two edges, they will, well, they're not going to meet because they're both at different angles. And when you fold it in and then fold it in, it won't be all bulky at one spot for when you do your top stitching. It will look like this. And then on the other side. So what I'm now just going to do, and I'll do this off camera, is I'm going to put double-sided tape up each side of the strap, and I'll draw my line down the center. I didn't do that at first because I wanted to join these two pieces. So I'll draw the line down the center, I'll put my double-sided tape on either side, and I'll make that part of the strap, and then I'll be back for adding on the swivel clasps. Okay, so I have made the strap, and you can see where this is actually going to add, where I've joined the two, the 4 inches on either end. You can see that it's going to make a little bit of a nice feature here on each end where the swivel clasps are going to go. One thing I did forget to mention is that when I started at the top here, to do the top stitching all the way down the side. Then when I do the other side for top stitching, I start back up here and go down this side. Because if you go all the way down the one side, the first side, and then you sew across and then start sewing in the opposite direction on the way up, there's a good opportunity for your strap to be twisting while you're wearing it. And I've had that happen, and I couldn't understand why that was happening. But actually on Lynn's Handmade is where I learned this little trick. Start at one end of the strap, sew all the way down, then start at the top, the same top end, and sew down the other side. So there we have now our strap. It's approximately 54 inches long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim off these unruly edges. And I'm going to take the lighter to them. I'm not putting any strap ends on or anything like that, because what I do is, now I have a fan on in here, I just let me turn that fan a different way. There. I have the fan blowing on me and it's going to blow my flame out. Okay, so I'm just going to heat up those ends, kind of burn them, and then I just kind of squeeze them to seal them. Might not be a good idea with it being done on white. I'm still getting things blown out. Hold on, I'll go underneath here. Okay, so that just kind of seals them. And I don't even know what my right side is and my wrong side anymore. Okay, so I'm just going to add my swivel clips to each end. Like I said, there's no adjuster, so we won't be adding a tri-glide adjuster. I'm just going to be adding, so assuming this is my right side, the swivel clip goes up. I just feed it through the bottom, and then I'm going to fold it over approximately 2 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Let's do that for now. Where's my clips? And I'm just going to clip it, and I want to do it to this other side as well. And I want to just see what the measurement is when I do it that way. I don't want the strap too long. I mean, 54 inches is great for me, for my size, but it might not be great for somebody who's like 5 foot nothing. So I don't want the strap to be too long. Okay, so these are pretty much close to the adjustment. There's the same overhang on either end. Okay, so that's 40. Okay, so they're just over 40, about 47 inches long. So what I'm going to do is the easy way out. I'm going to just put rivets. I'm going to put a rivet up here because I don't want to hit the stitching. So I'm going to put a rivet here and I'm going to put a rivet there. And just get my pen so I can mark it. That's my pencil. Just make a mark. Like I said before, I eyeball a lot of stuff. Okay, so I've just made the marks on both sides here, and then I'll look at how the stitching is on this side. Yeah, see, the stitching's a little further down than here. It's not even, but that's okay. I'll put the first rivet just above that. And then one above there too. As long as it's not in the way of where my rib press is going to be. And then I'm going to use my hole puncher. I do have it on the smallest hole setting. I'm just going to punch the holes first, and this will go all through all layers, which is nice. Make sure that your edges are even. And I just punch and give it a bit of a twist so that the holes will make it all the way through. Make sure I'm not cutting into any of that stitching because that'll unravel. All right, so that's one end. Just clip that to keep it in place. Okay. All right, so I got these rivets, well, this rivet case. Anyways, I got that hole punch, that rivet hole punch on Amazon. That's where I get a lot of my stuff. And I got this rivet case that came with all different, I mean, I've replaced these rivets many times now, but it came with a whole different set of different size rivets and colors and stuff like that. And it even came initially with the little manual, little tiny anvil and hole puncher and the thing that you hammer on to hammer the rivets in place. I was banging to my heart's content and nothing was getting set. I actually wasn't setting my rivets and I didn't realize it. So then I invested in this from Amazon, this rivet press. I think I paid $50 on Amazon. And I replace my rivets, you know, as they run out. So, and I get them on Waywack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use gunmetal because the swivel hooks are gunmetal. And I'm just going to pop them through. Oops. On one side. Just pop the post through one side and then the cap. So they're double capped rivets. So there they are. Now they're not set, and I'll do the same for this side. And the post is long enough to go through all of these layers. And I will be using these rivets after because these will be what I put the D-ring connectors on with. Okay, so I'm just going to take my rivet press. Okay, you can see it there. And I'm just going to take the rivet cap, this side, the underside, fit it into the little concave part here. Turn it that way. And then press. And that sets the rivet. Same with this side. I move it back and forth a little bit to make sure it's seated into that little concave thing. And there you have them set on that side. Sometimes they don't go on straight and they wind up getting set crooked. And then I have to take my pliers and pick it all out and redo them. Okay, so there our strap is now made. And we are going to work on the wristlet. Now, in Brenna's pattern, she has the wristlet being made a certain way. I don't make my wristlets that way. She makes a continuous wristlet where you sew the ends, kind of like what we did, adding that extra fabric on to the ends of the strap. I make my wristlets where I sew it up like a strap, I fold it over, and then I rivet them together. Nicole Neal does it that way on Sonar. So I'll just do that quickly while I have you here. This is just a quick sew. So I'll just take the double-sided tape off and I'm just going to fold up the edges to the center. I don't know. I thought I heard thunder. If we get rain, oh, that'll be so thankful for some rain. We haven't had rain, oh, at least 2 months now. No wonder there are wildfires up north, burning all over North America, and holy smokes, literally. All right, so I'm just going to clip. I've just put the double-sided tape on either side, turn the corners to meet them there, and I'm just going to clip all the way down and just top stitch on both sides. This isn't quite a 1/2 inch wide wristlet. I think the measurement was 1.5 inches wide, so it's going to be a 3/4 inch wide wristlet. but we'll still put a swivel hook on the end of it, a 1/2 inch. Okay, and then I'll sew up both sides. I have my different tubs for my different types of clips. I have one over there for the bigger clips. And I don't like mixing my clips. Maybe that's a little anal, but some people don't mind mixing their clips. I do. Okay, so I'm just going to sew down from down the one side. Just keep an eye on my bobbin. Okay, so I've sewn down the one side and I'll start back at the top on the other side. Go faster because I won't have clips to take out. Actually, this will be quite nice with the white strap and the red wristlet and the red and white bag. It'll be nice, a nice contrast. Okay, I'm just going to take my lighter. Hopefully the fan will be okay. Nope, hold on. I'm not doing anything secret down here. I'm just. But anyways, I thought I heard thunder, and I hope we are going to get some rain today. Because boy, we sure need it. The ground is just so dry. I put water out in an old dog dish. I put water outside for the squirrels and the birds and all the little critters, just so that they're all looking for something to drink. They're just so parched. Okay, so there I have made the strap, and I've heated up my ends just to kind of seal them. And then I will take my swivel hook and I just feed it through. So then what I do when I get to, I'll just fold it over. What I do is I take the one end, and where the swivel hook is here, then I kind of put that up against there, and then I'll take the top one and fold it over. It's not as neat looking as the strap instructions in Brenna's pattern, but it's fast and it works. And then I'm just going to put one rivet in this. I might even shorten out that a little bit. Okay. Oh, Frankie's here. She's coming to check out what's going on outside, and I have Bailey, our older cat. Frankie's 3. She just turned 3, and Bailey's 13 now. So yes, we have the 2 cats and Murphy. Just have to hold this and make sure I can punch everything through evenly. And I'll pop a rivet through. And a cap. And then we will set the rivet on the strap. Sorry, I have to stand up to give it a little bit of an oomph there. Okay, so there we have it. Getting caught. My wheels are getting caught. Everything's sticking. It's so muggy. All right, so there's the wristlet, the red wristlet. And here's the strap, the white strap with the red stitching. Actually, that looks really nice. I really like how that looks. So there we have the strap and the wristlet done, and then I'll be back with the next step. Okay, so we're back. I just moved you down a little bit so you can see, and of course now Frankie has come to decide that she's going to take up residence and supervise my sewing to make sure I do it all her way, the right way. Okay, so next what we're going to be doing is working on the D-ring connectors. So I've marked down the center. This is your pattern piece G. I've marked down the center, double-sided tape on either side for both of them. So we're just going to take the double-sided tape off both sides. They're like making the strap and your wristlet. So it's just like making it all the same. But these ones I'm just going to fold into the center. And you're flicking your tail underneath my sewing needle there, Missy. And when I start sewing, if it gets in the way, we're going to hear you. She sees something. I feel like I have a hair on me, which I probably do. A hair or thread, either one. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch down, top stitch down both sides at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down both sides. It's like my machine is moving on me. And what I'll do is I'll, when I get to the end of this one and back stitch, then I'll add the other one on. Just join it on with a bit of a space. Something rattling over here. Something on here. Something on my spool holder. Okay, I'm just going to trim off the threads. Trim them off in between. And the connecting at the end. And I'm just going to take the lighter to the ends just to burn off those unruly threads. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. No, actually, I'm just going to take the quarter inch because it's a little wider. And I'm just going to put a little strip in here. Not halfway up, but just a little strip so that when they get folded over, they get connected. Oh, I've run out of 1/4 inch double-sided tape. I go through this a lot. All right, so I'll just put one strip on this one. one strip on this one, and then just take the backing off. If it will come off. There it is. Sometimes you spend so much time trying to get the backing off. Okay, so just feed your D-ring on. There's the underside. So the flat edge of your D-ring is on the underside, and then just feed it up through the top here. Fold it so that the both ends meet, and then your double-sided tape will keep it together. Make sure your edges are lined up. And then we're going to just base the ends just to make sure that they stay put. Oops, there it goes. Okay. This is the handiest thing. My D-ring just fell and I can't see it. This is the handiest thing. It's a magnetic extended wand thing. And I might be able to find it, I hope, if it's magnetic. Making all this noise. Oh, there it is. When you lose things on the floor, to save you from bending over, that has to be the handiest little tool there ever was. Okay, so stick this D-ring on, fold it up, and I'm just going to base the edges. Find out what's rattling. Okay, so your D-connectors, your D-ring connectors are ready. I'm just going to clip them together. Now we're going to work on that back strap connector piece. So it's your pattern piece H. And there's a measurement, a shorter measurement across the top and the bottom. And then this side is longer. So did I do this right? Mark your pieces, draw a line down the middle from one short end to the other. Yes, I did do it right. Okay, so you're going to mark the line. Here's your short edge, your mark line in the center from the short edge to the short edge. Double-sided tape. A lot of these steps are the same, just like making a strap. I'm going to fold the edges, the raw edges, into the center line. So that they meet just like this. And then we're going to top stitch, first of all, along each edge at 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to go in an inch from either side and top stitch. And then that will seal up both these edges. So yeah, top stitch along the edge of your piece H using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, I didn't use any interfacing in this piece. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's rattling up here, because that's driving me crazy. All right. It's enough that I have a squeak in my sewing machine at times that I have to figure out what that is. All right, so I've just gone down each side with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to take my magnetic seam guide so that I can make sure that I follow along the newly stitched edge and the 1 inch mark to make sure that I get it right. So that's 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. Okay, so there's my 1 inch mark. This thing really magnetizes on. It's pretty stiff. Okay, so now I'm going to do an inch. And the theory is you're going to catch your understitching so that it'll catch everything in the center. So I've gone down the one side. I'll trim all these threads after. This dog's breakfast right now with all the threads showing. But not on the top side. We don't want the top side looking bad. Okay. Oops. Okay. So there you have it on the right side. You have it all stitched, your 1/4 of an inch on either side. And there's your 1 inch on either side in the center. But what it does is it allows you to catch that underneath raw edge on both sides so that when you slide your tumbler strap in behind, it's not going to get caught. All right, I will be back. Okay, so one of the things also before we finish with this piece at the moment is in the pattern, there is a measurement that on the bottom of the wrong side, there is a mark that you have to make and just draw a line. And this is on the wrong side, so I use my pen. It's okay. And mark that on the wrong side of your tumbler strap connector. So we're just going to put that away for the set for a moment. Okay, so now we're going to be taking our tumbler strap webbing, and we are going to, right now I'm just going to take my lighter and just underneath where there's no fan blowing on me, and I'm just going to burn the edges of the strap just so that they don't fray, melt them. Okay, and then what we're going to do is the strap ends, we're going to be putting them on each end of the strap. So there's double-sided tape on the underside, the wrong side of each of these pieces. I can get it off. There we go. Okay, so I kind of just kind of fold it into a, well, I'm seeing it as a backward C. You may see it as a normal C. And I just take my strap. There's no right or wrong side of the webbing. I make sure that these two edges are as even as I can see them. And I just kind of fit it on there. Center the strap in between the webbing or the two strap pieces, and then push down on the double-sided tape. So you have your strap centered in your strap connector on both sides, and both your edges should meet. So I'm going to do that with the other side. Just fold it over. You're kind of making a little taco. A little soft-shelled taco. All right. Slide that on. Make sure it's centered. Sorry, I'm doing that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all around the edges. And you can back stitch on this. I'm not worrying about pulling my tails through. Just remember that when you get to the end and you're going to be turning and pivoting at a right angle, make sure so you don't get any skip stitches going diagonally across your corner. Make sure that your needle is heading on the way up, not all the way out, but on the way up. Turn and pivot, and then start stitching again. Okay, so needle down, and now it's on the way up, and I'm going to turn and pivot. On the way up, turn and pivot. This just is so, you know, I learned this on YouTube. I can't remember where I learned it from, but I found it on YouTube and how to stop skip stitches. Okay, and then I'll just do the other side. Trim these threads. It's wonderful if you guys are sewing with me, because I am a slow sewer, so you'll be able to keep caught up. Okay, so I'm just going to take the lighter, so there it is, it's all top stitched on. I'm just going to take the lighter and melt those thread ends. And then I'm going to check the edges of my tape, of my strap connector tape, and I'm going to make sure that they're even with the edge of the actual strap, and just that they're neat and tidy looking. There could be a lot of wear on these, and then I'll take my lighter to them just to make sure that there's no fuzzies sticking on the edge of them. Okay, just take a flame. Okay, so now we are going to take the strap. Oh, I missed a spot. All right, give me a second. Okay, I forgot to get a piece of hardware, a crucial piece of hardware that we need. We need your rectangle ring. So there's two options on these bags here that I made. I used, it's not a rectangle ring, it's actually a plastic tri-glide that you can use like for your backpack making and stuff like that. But I still made it work. This one had a bit of a curve, so I had to know which was the right side and which was the wrong side. And when I first made the straps on one of these, I put it on upside down. So the other alternative is, you know, your metal rectangle ring, which you don't have to worry about what's the right side and what's the wrong side, or a curve or anything like that. If you don't have a rectangle ring in your hardware stash, then the alternative is, if you have a tri-glide, use that. Because then what you can do to create your own rectangle ring is just take a pair of pliers, grab one end of the tri-glide, you know, where it's kind of squished down, pressed down. You need a bit of muscles for this, and just open up the prong. And this is what I do, because I don't go out and buy extra rectangle rings when I know I can do this with my my tri-glides. And there you've got a rectangle ring, fast, cheap to do it. And I just take that and throw it out because you don't need it after that. All right, so now we have a rectangle ring. Okay, so then what she says is add the rectangle. Okay, so gather your webbing. We've put the strap, we've taken the straps and put them on. And so add the rectangle ring to the right side of your webbing and fold over the end of the webbing by 1.5 inches. Okay, there's no right or wrong side. Okay, so I'm going to use this as my right side. It doesn't matter, can't tell. So we've just taken the rectangle ring, put it over the end, and now we're folding it over. So that now this is the right side down on your table, rectangle ring to the right side, okay, and fold it over. So we're folding it over a certain measurement that she has in the pattern. Oh, perfect. My eyeballing's not too bad. Oh. So I went ahead. I jumped ahead because I can't seem to follow patterns at times. Anyways, we're not supposed to, because it says in big bold letters, do not top stitch. So don't top stitch these. Don't do what I do. Yeah. Anyways, I'll just re-top stitch them. I know that. How many times have I made this bag now and I still make mistakes? All right, so first of all, before we switch, because this is a black webbing, I'm going to switch out my bobbin, my red bobbin, for my black one, for this section of the tutorial. Oh. It's not the end of the world if you top stitch it. There it is. Oh, okay, finally found it. Never had such a problem finding the bobbin hole. It's not picking it up. Okay. All right, so now we have the black thread in the bobbin. Okay, so now we folded this over to the measurement that she has specified in the pattern. And she says, sorry, it's on an angle. Top section. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be top stitching here in here, and then I'm going to be top stitching along the edge of the D-ring, or the rectangle ring, so it's not loose. I want to make sure I'm reading this right. Actually, before I forget, I am taking my highlighter and I am highlighting that do not top stitch, so I can see it. Me. All right, so I'm just going to top stitch those two edges of the strap connector, and then I'm going to top stitch along the edge of the, near the rectangle ring under there. No one's ever going to know. So don't tell Brenna. I didn't follow the pattern right. Won't be my first time. Sometimes I wonder, I can make the same bag so many times and I still make mistakes. I don't know why, but I guess it's me. That's why I love the tutorials, and why I was so thankful that the tutorials were out when I started bag making. And that's when I started following Barbie on Jeannie's Designs at first. She was the first one I found. And she was just starting out her YouTube channel. And I'm so thankful for the tutorials, because that helps me more than visually reading the pattern. Okay, so, and I'm just going to top stitch close to that D-ring, or the, yeah, it's going to be red in one spot, but that's okay. I'm getting a ride there, Frankie, because my table's moving. don't think you mind. I think you just like being here. Okay, I'm just going to take my lighter and burn off all those threads. Okay, that's the right way without retop stitching. Like I said, not a big deal. Okay, and then she says, so top stitch the remaining strap end to the left side of the strap, leaving, okay, I've already top stitched that end. We're not using that. Okay, so take your strap, which we have the rectangle ring here on this end and the other strap here. She says rotate it 180 degrees so the rectangle ring is on your left side. And then we're going to take a piece of the hook part of the tape. And I'm just going to take some double-sided tape. Don't get the hook tape that, when I first made this bag, the only stuff I had was from the dollar store. And it already had an extremely, extremely heavy-duty adhesive already adhered to it. So I had to get some from Amazon, and this has nothing. It's a sew-in type. So this is, I just take a 1/4 inch double-sided tape, run it down the center so it won't be in your stitch line, and I do it for both pieces. Okay, so she said take the hook part, which I think is the rough part, and then you and place it directly. Okay, so we're taking the backing off, and make sure your edges are straight on this one edge, and you're going to be putting it right up against here. Right up against your strap tab, your strap end. And I have, of course, a 1 inch webbing, and my Velcro hook and loop is 1 inch as well. And then from this edge to here, you're going to measure, and then from this strap end connector, the end of it here, you're going to measure a certain distance down here and draw a line, and then you're going to stick this other piece on. So I need a white gel pen, and make sure I get it measured the right way, because clearly I can't measure or follow directions at times. And what this does, it's going to create a little gap between each piece of the Velcro hook and loop, so that when you put it on your tumbler and you pull it tight, the hook and loop, the rectangle ring will fall into this little gap here. So hopefully it won't work on my tumbler because it's just too big, but a smaller one will. So there we've measured from here, and I've drawn a line here. So this is where I take the other piece of the hook and loop, and my double-sided tape has come off. And then I just line the edge of that onto the line that I just drew. So now you have this kind of scenario. And then we're going to top stitch all the way around each piece at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now my upper thread is red. It's not going to matter, but it will be black on this side because I changed my bobbin out. If I felt like it, I could change this up to white, but I don't feel like it. Takes too much time. All right, bye, Frankie. She's had enough of listening to me. Okay. But the, I mean, I hope this is such a cute little pattern, and it's such a great start for Brenna as a pattern designer. And the fact that her, you know, her and her husband are doing this together with the printing of the templates as well. You know, and of course their baby's young, so, well, she's just a baby. She's just born, I think, a couple of months ago. And it's just a great way for her to help, you know, start something new here, and then also to help a little side business too, which is great. I think she's making some differences to the pattern, or adding some add-ons or something to the pattern. Let's see if that's what's rattling. Okay. I'll just take my lighter. Where did I leave that? Oh, something's still jiggling. Must be that. Okay. Okay. So there, our strap is now finished. So what happens is when it's on your tumbler, you feed, of course, the end into here, and then this little gap is where theoretically your rectangle ring will end for when you pull it tight onto your tumbler. And then you have this tab to pull it on and off. So it's quite an ingenious little device. And it's quite sturdy as well. So there, our tumbler strap connection has been done, and then I'll be back with the next step. Okay, so now we're going to take our back panel, and I already have my bag tag on the back panel. And in the pattern, there are measurements. You draw a line down the center. You mark your centers, top and bottom, and on either side. And then you draw a center line, and then there's certain measurements up from the bottom up to the first line, and a certain measurement from this line to this line, and a certain measurement from here to here and here to here. And what we are going to do is we're making the slits on the back panel for our little sliding tab. So I have, you can use an X-Acto knife or whatever. I have this little ceramic little knifey thing, and I'm just going to cut a slit from here to here and here to here to here. I just have a little tiny craft mat. It's just a baby one, just big enough for what I need. And I'll get my ruler because I don't want to miss it. And I've kind of marked my spots. I have to go through the foam and everything too. I want to make sure I'm not going to go through onto my desk. And then I'll just make my slit. And Frankie's going to sit on my pattern to keep it warm. Hey, I know. You like to trill. Okay, so I've got the first slit, and then I'll just make sure that I've got it cut right to the end in a second, and I'm going to cut the next slit. It's a little awkward getting around my bag tag. Like I said, I usually put it on the front, but the front of this bag is going to have the maple leaf. Okay, I'm through the craft mat. And then I'm just going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to make sure that I have it snipped all the way to the edge of that mark. On the upper and lower line. Okay, so there it is on the back side, and then there you see it on the right side. So, okay, Frankie, you need to move your bum because I need my pattern. Yeah, excuse me for being in your way. Okay. So we're going to be taking the our piece H, and we have already drawn this one line on the wrong side that has a certain measurement on it. And we're going to have the back panel right side up and the piece H wrong side up, and you're going to slide this piece in through the top slit just until we reach that line. So it's just going to go there, so make sure that you line up the slit with that line. Okay. And then we're going to sew on the underside, so the bottom of that slit, just from the one corner to the other corner, 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just to hold that strap in place. And I've changed my bobbin back to red. And I'm just making sure that that little strap is straight. It's sticking. When I was off camera, we actually had about 10 drops of rain fall. I thought, oh yay, we're going to get some rain. So hopefully we will later. I'm going to take my lighter to those thread ends, especially on the right side. Okay. Oh, there's some thunder. Yay, some rain. Okay, so there we have it. We have that now stitched on, so that's not going to come out. Okay, sew line stitching on piece. Okay, so now we're going to fold piece H over, so it's right side showing. So now you have all the right sides. I'm following the pattern because I want to make sure I do this right, but it's hard when somebody's tail is flicking in the way here. And then we're going to feed it through the bottom slit. So now this is kind of what you have here. Now that's way too big, okay? So then we're going to, so that's the right side. We fed this top, we fed it down through the bottom slit. Now we're going to turn it up this way so you can see the wrong side. And we're going to pull it up on the wrong side so it goes up this way. So what we have to do is this connector now has to be about 1/8 of an inch above this top slit. Actually, it might be a good idea to put a bit of double-sided tape under there, just to make sure. So I'm just putting it on the edge of the strap connector, a little connector. Okay, so then what we have to do is, so fold it up. You want the piece you're feeding to go through the bottom slit to go towards the top of piece A. Just connector so that you have an 1/8 fold above the top slit. Okay, so now I have above the top slit, which is here, I've now put this about 1/8 of an inch above. I do have double-sided tape to hold it there. Okay, so now what we have to do is we take on this side, we kind of take the connector and we kind of fold it so that when we look at it from the side, you're going to see it folded up about 1/8 of an inch above this slit and 1/8 of an inch below that slit. Because when we sew this, we're going to sew it across here and here. We want to make sure we're catching these slits in the sewing so there aren't any raw edges. It's just a bit of an adjustment just to make sure that it's even. But the trick is to make sure that you're going to catch those slits in your stitching. So now I'm just going to do, I'm getting caught under here, and you can take your, you can either, you know, do back stitching at the top, at the beginning and the end of each of these straps, or you can tie your threads to the back. I'm just going to do back stitching. The thought process of how this bag is made, the design process, is really pretty cool. Okay, and I'm just going to do the bottom one. Thread doesn't want to come out. I'm fighting it. Bobbin might be coming to an end. Okay, I'm just going to take my lighter to these ends. I hope I've done that right. Okay, so there, now we have it. So now our little strap that we just made, our removable strap, will fit through here. And everything has been sewn and connected up this way. Alrighty, I'll be back. Okay, now we're on to the card slots. So I can't use an iron on this because of it being, of course, waterproof nylon and a plastic back. So there are measurements in the pattern where you mark. I have my top marked on the wrong side, and your first measurement, and then all of the measurements that you make, you just mark a mark on the, within the seam allowance on the right side. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold up the first marks, line them up. I'm going to use these clips. Okay. Just line up your edges. So we're going to line up, we're going to fold up these edges so that the wrong sides are together. And I'm going to top stitch, and then the next marks I'm going to fold wrong sides together, making sure that everything lines up, the edges line up. And then I'm going to top stitch that. And then the last marks at the bottom, I'm going to line those up and top stitch. A little clip heavy here, but that's okay. Okay, and this will create your 3 card slots inside your little pouch. But you know, honestly, you could probably squeeze two cards in each slot. Boy, I really hope we get some rain today. I think everybody can use it. Just make sure that my edges are lined up here. I'm just waiting to see if my bobbin's going to run out. I already have another one pre-wound. All right, the last one to top stitch. Little bug here flying. Okay, so now you have your three pockets folded and top stitched. So what we're going to do is take the top stitched we're going to take them and we're going to start kneading them up at your first line. And basically they're going to be all a ½ inch down from each other. So they're going to look like that. So I'm just going to clip those. I'm just going to line mine up with the first mark that we made. And then I'll measure a ½ inch down. I mean, I can pretty much eyeball it. I think we all can. But I have been known to measure wrong. Of course, that doesn't help. Red on red. It's hard to see, and I have a glare from my ring light, which unfortunately I get a glare on my glasses too. Okay, so I'm going to measure that a ½ inch from that first one. Clip that in place. Give it a bit of a press, and then I'm going to measure ½ inch down from the other line. Maybe I'm too anal in my measuring. I don't know. Okay. Just going to give it a bit of a press from underneath because I can't iron these flat. So this is what we have so far. All of our edges meet. We have our three card slot pockets. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to baste these edges together so that they're not so loopy. And I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up, because if I start from the top and work my way down, my presser foot could push this corner out of whack. Okay, I'll just go slow. But I have everything clipped. It's a little better. I'm just going to keep it lifted off my machine bed here. Because I don't want those I don't want the corners of the card pockets being pulled out of whack if I go the other way. Okay. One side done. Yay! We finally got there. And then I'll go up the same side on this, go up from the bottom on this side as well. But yeah, you can see how it just kind of sticks and grabs. There's no sliding whatsoever of this, so I don't want any puckering or anything like that happening. There we go. Okay, so that's what we have so far. We have our card slots going in here, the 3 of them. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our piece G's, which are our card slot wings. And from the top edge, we are going to be clipping them on. Making sure that our top edge and our corners are matching. And clip it all down that the sides we just basted. And then for the other side as well. Okay, so I'm just going to sew down okay. All right, so I'm going to sew down either side with the seam allowance that she has in the pattern. And then we'll fold over those edges and top stitch. Making sure that I don't let this stick on my sewing machine bed. Something's still in my eye. Okay, oops. Go down the same from the top to also to the bottom from the same same direction. My thread wants to stick. Okay, so there we have, we've sewn the wings on. And now we're just going to fold the wings back, and then we're just going to top stitch them down. Okay, that's the one side, and I'm not worrying about starting from the same edge now that everything's together. So this card slot panel that we're doing is going to create the lining on the front panel of the bag, which is the maple leaf, the white maple leaf side. Okay, so if you want to try your card slots, just to make sure that they are good, and you're going to have a little bit of overhang, that's okay. So you've got your 3 card slots here. If you want to see how your card slots fit, I've got some of my dad's, his Knights of Columbus membership, his Legion, my blood donor card. They're all the same. They all fit in vertically like this. So there, your cards will all fit in vertically, the 3 of them. Everything's sticking. But like I said, you can fit at least 2 in each slot. Here's his Legion card. So there, I have 6 cards in there now. There's room to do that. So that works, you know, if you just want to even use this little bag as your phone bag and your wallet. It's even a cute little bag just to use as a quick little wallet too. So now what we're going to do is take the templates. Sorry, I had a hair or something in my eye. Okay, I'm going to undo this little cable because I do need the pattern piece A. Let's see how this undoes. Oh, there we go. I don't want to lose all the pieces if it pops open. Okay, and I know the pattern piece A is pretty much at the front because that's where I put it. Okay, I'm just going to screw that on for now. Okay, put these guys aside. So you could even take this little heart that came with my templates and make a little heart to put on the front of your bag as well if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm just going to take the template of the main panel and I'm going to line it up on the back and then draw around it so that we have the piece. So, okay, just want to see what she says. So we're just going to line it up at the top of the wrong side and make sure it's straight because I know my top edges aren't straight. I can see that right now. And make sure it's just centered inside the piece we just made. It should pretty much fit. It's pretty accurate. And if it's slightly off, you know, you've got one side that's a little wider than the other. It's not the end of the world. Okay, I just traced it on the wrong side. And I'm just going to trim it up. So we had like 10 drops of rain. Wow. That's why we don't have any mosquitoes this year, because of the lack of rain. Which is a good thing. I saw on Facebook, you know how some people are very creative and they make these memes, and somebody was standing beside what looked like a dinosaur skeleton, or just a head, like, you know, you see, unfortunately, you know, in the West, and that you see like cattle heads that are dead and stuff like that, the skulls and whatever. Well, somebody was standing beside this one and it had a long pointy front end, and they said, yeah, this is the skeleton of a Canadian mosquito. And the thing was massive. It had to have been the head itself had to have been 6 feet tall, 6 feet long. So there you have it. There is your front panel. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be sewing and basting that onto my front panel here. And then I believe I can do that to the back as well. I don't have to do anything. Okay, so right now I'm going to take the lining, the card slot piece, and I'm going to baste it onto the front. And then I'm going to take the lining piece for the back and baste it onto the back. And then we will do that. I'm going to do that and then I will be back. Okay, so here we have our front panel. all basted onto our card slot panel that we made with 3 card slots, and definitely you can fit 2 in each pocket, so you can have 6 card slots. And then here is our back panel with our little connector slip pocket sewn on to our back lining. So we're just going to put these 2 guys aside for now. We're going to be working on our zipper gusset at the moment. So this is how I do it. Take your zipper tape, because this double-sided tape will stick better to the zip. In my case, it'll stick better to the zipper tape than the material. So I have my zipper tape measured from the pattern right side up, and I'm just going to run a strip, some double-sided tape along the top edge. Centers have been marked. I cut the notches out on my zipper tape, and then I'm just going to peel away the backing, and I'm going to take my exterior zipper gusset piece, and I have my foam already double-sided taped onto it, and I'm just going to put it right side down, so it's right side together with the right side of your zipper tape. Line that up. Okay, so we have it like that. And then I'm going to, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, and then on the wrong side of we're going to flip it over, and on the wrong side of the zipper tape, put another bead or strip of double-sided tape along that edge. Everything's sticking. Oh. Take the backing off, and then take your lining right with the right side together. So your zipper tape is wrong side up, but your exterior is right side up. Take your right side of your lining and put it down so that your right side of your exterior and your right side of your lining are together. Okay, so we have that, so that when it's all sewn together and they pull together, then the wrong sides will be together. And now we're just going to sew that at 1/4 inch seam allowance, because that's what my presser foot is, and it will butt right up against my zipper tape. Gotta watch my thread, it's almost empty. And my bobbin's almost empty too, so keep an eye on both of those. I just wish there was some way to know, at least on my machine. Maybe if it was a more computerized industrial sewing machine, there'd be a way to tell. Okay, so we have that sewn. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the wrong sides together, and we're going to pull the edges, the exterior and the lining, we're going to pull them together, pull them and line up the edges and clip on both ends. Oops. Same with here. Things might not meet up exactly, and that's okay. I always cut my zipper tape a little longer, and that's okay because it winds up getting sewn into the gusset anyway. And I'm just going to clip that. And I'm pulling, as I'm clipping each section, I'm pulling the top and the exterior and the lining away from the zipper. Not super big, so I'm pulling the zipper teeth apart, but I'm giving it a good enough tug so that the edges meet up for one. And then it just pulls it away from the zipper teeth so that when I do the top stitching, it's not going to have any bulging or anything like that. Okay, so then I'm just going to baste all around the edge, down down the long edge, the short edge, and then top stitch around that edge. Oops, pull them both out. Maybe I'll keep this one for myself. I say that with everything. Oh, maybe this will be my bag. But it'll be a cute little bag for walking Murphy and carrying his poop bags and having my essentials, my phone and my, you know, cards. Okay. All right, now I'm just going to swing around and do the actual top stitching along the zipper. I just hope nothing runs out at this point in time. Okay, and there we have our zipper panel done. And then, so we can add our zipper pulls at this point in time. And she says, you know, lay your zipper panel so that the fabric is on top and your zipper is on the bottom. And add your zipper pulls. Now, her pattern calls for 2 zippers. I'm only doing 1. So I'm not worrying about what side the zipper is going to go on. So in case you're new and you've never installed a zipper, this is a number 5 zipper tape, and this is a number 5 zipper pull. One tooth sits higher than the other tooth from however you cut it. Just pull it apart. The tooth that sits higher is the side that you're going to slide the zipper pull on first. Move everything out of my way, it's sticking to me. And then we're going to slide that part on this side. Make sure you kind of hang on to things because they can slip off. And then just pull this out a bit and stick the bottom into the other side. It's going to be wonky. It's not going to sit straight. Just like that. It's going to be way off kilter. So what I do is making sure, you need to be double jointed, making sure that I'm going to line up the zipper teeth underneath as best I can. And as I'm lining them up from the bottom up, I am moving this one side that's sitting really low on the zipper pull, and I'm going to straighten it. And I know that my zipper wasn't cut straight, but it's going to straighten out. And you can see that it has straightened out. And then I'm going to push it down, and you'll know it goes on because you can hear it click. And then I'm going to grab both edges. Usually I do this against the table. And we hope for the best that there's no bulge. Yay! And we did it. Okay, the zipper is on. So, yay, that worked. Okay. One zipper pull, okay. And then just burn the short ends of your zipper, just so that they, if, you know, I've got to do it down here, just in case, you know, there's any fraying. Okay, and we'll be back. Alrighty, so now we are going to be working with our zipper panel, our zipper gusset, and we're going to connect our D-ring connectors for the wristlet and the crossbody strap. So you just take some 1/4 inch double-sided tape on the wrong side. There is a measurement in the pattern that you mark up from the folded edge where the zipper tape and the folded edge of the top stitching meet. Take the double-sided tape off. You're going to overhang the end by about 1/4 inch. Make sure your D-rings are facing inward. So with the zipper tape on the bottom, I have the mark here. I'm going to line up the bottom edge of the D-ring connector along that mark, making sure that the D-rings are facing inward, and I'm going to do that on both sides. And I'm going to have it overhang, it'll overhang about 1/4 of an inch approximately. And yes, I have Bailey here wanting to come up onto my table. She's bugging me for something. And she is relentless. But you know, you have to love your fur kids. Okay, I'm just lining that up, and then I'm just going to measure just to make sure that both, you know, because nothing's ever perfectly measured, and believe me, that's me. I'm just going to measure to make sure that it's the same distance, there's the same amount. Okay, and I'm just going to baste the these D-ring connectors onto the edge of the zipper panel on both sides. Even though they're stuck on with 1/4 inch double-sided tape, we still want to baste them onto the ends. Okay, so there we have them both facing inward. We have them overhanging about 1/4 of an inch, or approximately. And then we're going to mark, there are measurements in the pattern for marking, so that we're going to have 2 rivets on each strap to hold them in. We're not sewing them down, we're riveting them on. So she gives the measurements. Okay, that'll do. In the pattern. All right, there's the first one. And then there's the second one. The sun's out now. It's like, okay, I guess we're not getting rain. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, so I have my marks marked for my rivets, and now I'm just going to, so we will be punching through to the other side as well. If you have a fraying material, I'm just going to get my fray check just to be on the safe side. After I punch my holes, use fray check so that you can make sure that that your lining doesn't fray before you place your rivets in. And just center your punch where the holes are. Let me know also in the comments. I'm curious, I'd like to know if you have any ideas of what bags you'd like to see me make. Right now I'm kind of focusing, well, not focusing, I'd like to kind of show some bag patterns that aren't as well known. Like I did the quiver sling from Country Cow Designs. I'd had that pattern, that tutorial's already out. I had that pattern for 2 years and never made it. And aren't many tutorials out there on it. And I kind of like to showcase some bags that aren't as well known. A lot of the bag makers, everybody does the same bag kind of at the same time for tutorials. All right, so I'm just going to take my fray check and I'm just going to put a drop on those holes. It'll seep through to the foam as well. But the fray check will help stop it from fraying, even though it's nylon. And in my fray check, I stick a little pin in there just to keep the opening, the hole open, because this is kind of like a loose glue. And now I'm going to take my rivets and I'll pop the post through the front. And I'm using gunmetal. Now I have fray check all over my fingers. Yuck. Pop it through. I didn't get the hole cut all the way. Okay, and then I'll set the rivets. Making sure that my D-ring is out of the way here. I'll tell you, this press, this little rivet press, that's a game changer. I had no idea at first when I was banging my hammer down onto my rivets before trying to set them that I hadn't been setting them all the way. And actually they were there was quite a lot of room to go to set them. So there we have our little D-ring connectors. And let's see where we're going next. Alrighty, so this is an easy part. I don't have to stop and start. Okay, so we've got our zipper panel. I'm only using the one zipper. I'm not worried about the orientation of which way the zipper, either it closes to the left or closes to the right. So the next step is I'm going to take some 1/8 inch double-sided tape and I'm going to run across along this edge and along this edge. The edges aren't even, at least on mine they're not, and that's okay. Piece of material here. I'll twist it up and stuck together. Oops. I tell you, the heat really bothers me. I'm not very fond of the heat. I mean, we were as kids, and I used to lifeguard, and boy, I'll tell you, and that was back in the 70s when I was a teenager, and lifeguarding, and, you know, we baked in the sun. We didn't have to worry about UV protection, and we slathered ourselves with Johnson's baby oil, and, you know, we were so tanned. I remember, okay, this is an aside. So back in 76, I was 16, and the 76 Olympics were out. And of course, I used to lifeguard. I used to be on our swim team in Borden, the Canadian Forces Base Borden, where we grew up. And the Speedo bathing suits were the bathing suit. Well, some girls had the Canadian Speedo bathing suits, and they were nylon. They weren't Lycra or spandex or anything like that. So there was no give. I still have something in my eye. And the bathing suits were maple leaves, red and white maple leaves all over them. And it was pretty neat. It looked like a fall scene of maple leaves. And these were the Canadian swimsuits for the Olympics. So we could buy them if you had the money, and I didn't have the money. But some girls had the money, and they would, so what would happen is they'd wear them lifeguarding, of course. And the white maple leaves, the sun shone through the white maple leaves and it tanned their body. So, you know, so they had maple leaves tanned onto their body just from the white maple leaves, the sun shining through. And I thought, well, that was kind of neat, I guess. I didn't have the money for one of those, but anyways, that's an aside from the 76 Olympics. So, okay, so I put double-sided tape on both ends, and I'm going to peel the tape off, the backing off of one. We're going to now work with our bottom gusset. So I'm taking the right side of the bottom gusset and I'm going to line it up with the edge of the zipper gusset, and they should meet, and they do, because Brenna's patterns are perfect. And then I'm going to flip it over to the lining side, and I'm going to put double-sided tape along the top edge of that. And it won't stick as well. Okay, and then I'm going to, so the lining side, I'm going to take the lining, the right side of the lining of gusset facing, and line it up with the right side of the lining edges together. So we have this, we have that overhang of our D-ring connector, and then I'm going to sew at the seam allowance in the pattern, but I'm going to sew it with the foam side down because this is still sticking to my machine bed. Not good. It's still too muggy, so I'm just going to sew that. Still keeping an eye on my thread, still keeping an eye on my bobbin. All right. Okay, now we're going to flip this over and we're just going to top stitch along here, 1/8 of an inch seam allowance for top stitching. That helps secure your D-rings and your zipper all in there. This is going to be a cute little bag when it's done. And I'm going to sell lots of them. All right, so we have the double-sided tape already on this side. We're going to pull that off. We're going to take the right side of the exterior and put it right side together with the exterior on this side. Line everything up. Flip it over to this side facing up and put another strip of double-sided tape along the right side of the zipper lining gusset. And then we're going to take the right side of our lining, of our bottom gusset lining, and we're going to put it up with the alongside the double-sided tape here. I'm going to clip it because there's a bit of pulling going on here. And so what happens is you've got this kind of a configuration. There's a bit of pulling and tugging, so I don't want anything to come apart. And I'm going to sew this across at the seam allowance in the pattern. Okay, so now we have both edges. All right, so, and I'm going to, what we're going to do is we're just going to turn everything out the right way, but make sure that that this lining is now lined up with your bottom gusset. So now you kind of have a circle. So this side still has to be top stitched. So I'm going to flip it so that the right side is on the inside because it just makes it easier for me to stitch. I'm going to start here on this side where the top stitching was already done, and I'm going to sew all around this edge, come across on the inside for top stitching, and then sew all the way around this side again. And that's basting these pieces together at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then top stitching at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Making sure that as I go around the sewing this bottom gusset together, basting it together, that the edges are aligned together. Just pulling it as we go. It doesn't seem like it's going to fit, but the pieces do fit. They always do. Okay, so I'm just coming up to that end where I'm going to top stitch. Oh, and incidentally, historically, the 76 Olympics were in Montreal. Okay, now this is going to be a little tight. Just sew this down now. Still just, maybe the thread and the bobbin will all run out at the same time. That would work out great. Get over there. Okay, so this is what we have now. Turning it right side out, we have our little zipper circle. To now we're going to baste them, or we're going to bind them on to the front and back. But before we do that, make sure, if you haven't, because if you didn't mark your centers, you're going to have to now. Taking your seam here and the seam on this side, line them both up together. So there's your bottom gusset. So we've lined up both those edges, and just fold them. And if you've marked your centers, then your little notches will match up here, and then fold them up towards the top. And your notches will pretty much match up here and here as well. Alrighty, so we'll be back with the next step. Alrighty, so now, as I said, we have our zipper circle, our zipper gusset, and our bottom gusset. We're going to turn it inside out, and our zipper tape side with the centers marked, we're going to line it up with the front panel. So we're going to line it up with the center line of the front panel and clip it into place. There's Murphy barking, and I'm just going to clip the top, and then I'm going to match the centers on the bottom. Now, what I've done with my front panel, I'll show you in a second. Okay, I'm just clipping the bottoms and the top right now. So I have taken my Made in Canada label. It comes flat. I put a piece of double-sided tape inside, fold it over and stick it together, then put another piece of double-sided tape on the underside and stick it to the edge, and that will get sewn in with the gusset, and then also with the binding. So one way also to ensure that sometimes it can get tight. At the moment, I'm not going to do anything, but it could be a little snug getting around here. You can always undo your zipper to give you a little bit of give, but let's just see how it goes. So I've got the top and bottom pinned, and this will fit. I've got another bug following me, and I'm just going to clip around. Actually, what I'm going to do first with the top, this is what I did the last time. I took some 1/8 inch double-sided tape, and I went all the way, or kind of like a quarter of the way down, all the way around to this edge, so I could get around that top curve around the zipper, because that's a little tight area to get around. And the double-sided tape just helps to keep it, the front panel stuck to the zipper panel, because it definitely is tight in there with the with the zipper tape and the panel. So I'm just going to take the double-sided tape off. I'm going to reline up the top edge of my front panel with the center marked on the zipper, and then the double-sided tape will help it stay in place. Some bag makers staple it there, but honestly I don't. I've tried stapling. My stapler's too big. It's an office stapler. But also I just find it more of a pain afterwards to pull out all the staples. So I am going to undo my zipper, and that will help. That'll help work around those curves. And then I'm just going to work that around, because the one thing we don't want to do very often is cut into our zipper tape. But this double-sided tape does help to keep these corners, because the corners are tight and this is a small area to sew. And it does help to keep it in place as you're sewing around, so there isn't any slippage. And then I'll do the other side, and then we'll do the bottom part of it, because then we may have to clip into this facing. Only ever cut into your facing, not your actual panel. All right, so I'm just going to fit the zipper around the other side where the double-sided tape is at the top. Just making sure that your edge of your zipper tape and the edge of your front panel meet and are lined up. Oh, there's Murphy barking outside. Probably nothing, or a leaf flying by. The leaves are starting to change color. I noticed that mid-July up here. I've noticed that forever. Mid-July we start seeing the leaves starting to turn color. It's not like we're super far north either, honestly. It's like, but it's just the way it is. Okay, so I can see just from how I have it, how I have everything clipped together, that these corners will need a little help to get splayed open a bit so they fit around this bottom part of the front facing. So I just kind of snip into an 1/8 of an inch, or just within that 1/8 of an inch basting line that we did, and just snip in, and then that helps, and then we splay that open. And then I'll do it on the other side as well. Here comes Frankie, and Murphy's in here already. Murphy, what were you barking at out there? There he goes. Okay, so I've snipped in just little snips, and then what I usually kind of do is I usually pull it, I kind of splay them open just to give a little bit of stretch to them, and then I can fit them around my corners. Probably could have used double-sided tape on these corners as well. But everything's lining up beautifully. Splay that open. What were you barking at out there? You want to say hi? Come on. Okay. He's saying hi, and it's hot. He was shaved down to the bone 3 months ago, and his fur grows so fast. And when he's shaved down, he looks like a Jack Russell. And he has the personality of a Jack Russell. Okay, Mommy's got to sew. Bye. You be a good boy. Yeah. Okay. Everybody likes to see the puppies and the cats. Now I'm covered in his hair, and he sheds. Does he shed? It's bad enough that the cats shed, but boy, he sheds too, and I shed. Okay, so we're just clipping all of these around the corners. Putting it all in. Here he's bugging Bailey now. I can hear him. Okay, and yeah, there he goes. Okay, so now when you keep the gusset side up, and we're going to sew all around the perimeter with 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm just going to start at the side here because I'm coming up to my zipper. You'll have to move your zipper pull out of the way. Oops. Keeping an eye on my thread, of course. And I use, some people use a stylus to hold down the corners and to hold down your edges. I use my snips because I wind up, you get a double prong to hold down, and it just helps me hold down my edges together, especially when it's a tight edges like this little bag. And I go slow. I'm a slow sewist. But like I said, if you're sewing along with me, then you will have no trouble keeping up with me because I don't go fast. And just getting around these curves, making sure that there aren't any puckers in that zipper tape. I'm just going to put my needle down and lift everything and make sure there aren't any puckers. And that the zipper isn't bulging, sticking anywhere or getting in the way to get caught. Just so. That's what the issue is. That zipper tape down. Okay, coming up, making sure that the zipper pull is out of the way, but I'm going to have to move it because I won't be able to get by the zipper pull. So I'm just going to put my needle down to, sorry, excuse me, and grab the zipper pull here. It's hard to see, but there's the zipper pull. Lift my presser foot and wrestle the zipper and get the zipper pull. There we go. And just pull it out of the way so it's not in the way of your stitching. There we go. Making sure it's okay. Keeping your edges lined up, coming around that curve. I could have put some double-sided tape down on, but I didn't. As I said, I natter as I sew. Just making sure when I get to the corners that I'm not going to have any puckers. Okay. Okay, so there we have, you can see that my bag tag or my Made in Canada label has been sewn in. And we have sewn all around the corners and all around the zipper. That's where I had a bit of trouble because it was sticking because of the double-sided tape here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to clean up any edges that you might have some overhang of some fabric that might get in the way of the binding. because you want your edges to be as even as possible for when you go to do the binding. Just check under the one here. Make sure everything looks good. Okay, so the binding. Now, other bags I use, it depends on the inside, but I want the inside binding to match the lining. So I have cut 1.5 inches wide binding, and I'm going to fold over the raw edge, flip it onto the side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm not going to clip it all the way around, but I'm going to sew at 1/4 inch inseam all the way around and feed the binding as I go around all the curves. And then what will happen is then we'll fold it over, turn it under, and then do the binding. But this way it'll sew it on. Excuse me. Hopefully get it over that zipper. But just about a 1/4 inch inseam or seam allowance I'm sewing the binding on. The one edge of the binding. And there's a reason why it's 1.5 inches wide, because it'll allow for all the folding over and then folding the raw edge over to create a finished edge on the other side. Just get that zipper out of the way in the corner, make sure that that's okay. If I was using grosgrain ribbon, I would have just folded it over on to match up the edges on both sides, and then I just would have sewn it right on, because it has a finished edge on both sides. But I don't have a grosgrain ribbon to match this bag, like to match the inside. And I would really like these bags to be finished looking on the inside with matching binding to the lining. Coming around that other top curve. I get my arms and shoulders all contorted into different positions here. Okay. All right, I'm coming to the zipper pull again, so my needle's down. I'm lifting my presser foot, wrestling that zipper out of the way. Threads. Hey Frankie, what are you doing? Uh-oh, there goes my thread. Well, I'll have just enough to finish this, I think. So far the bobbin's looking good. Maybe they'll all finish at the same time. Wouldn't that be something, eh? All right, so I'm just coming around to that corner, the last corner, where that folded edge is down, and I'm going to fold the other end, or the other edge, so that we wind up with a finished join here. Okay. Wow. That's the end of my thread. All right, give me a second while I rethread. Okay, so my thread ran out. I checked my bobbin. It was empty too, so it was perfect timing for both of them. Okay, so what I have done right now is I have sewn on at 1/4 inch seam allowance approximately the one raw edge of my 1.5 inch binding strip that I made. So now I'm just going to pull everything forward to this side. And we still have a raw edge. So this is where I will clip it. Okay, so I'm going to take my raw edges. This is where I have my 2 folded edges. And I take the raw edges and I fold them under. And then I fold them under again. So basically you're kind of folding it in half and then folding it in half to meet onto the other side of your seam, holding the front and the gusset together, and then that's you're creating your binding over top of all of that. So I will be clipping, and I'm going to be sewing from this edge. So I'm going to clip outward and fold everything in, and it gives you have a lot of leeway because this is 1.5 inch wide binding that I made. If I had made 1 inch wide, it might not have been wide enough. And 1.25 inches, you know, so 1.5 inches, it gives you a lot of grace that you can do a lot of folding under so that you don't have a lot of excess and everything meets and looks the way it should be. I think I am going to sew from this side. All right, so we're just tucking it under and folding it. So we have what looks like on the other side a nice finished edge as well, because right now you have a nice finished edge here where we sewed it, and then now we're folding it over. Are you still going to see some stitching seams? Yeah, you're still going to see that. But at least with the matching waterproof nylon with the rest of the bag, the interior of the bag, it's all going to look very cohesive together, and it's going to match. And I like things that match. Go figure. So hopefully you're sewing along with me, which would be nice. Can't see you, but it's nice. And the beauty of the YouTube tutorials is that I'm recording this on, you know, August 7th, I think, of 2025, August 7th-ish. And you could be watching this 5 years from now and sewing along with me. That's what I find when I first got into bag making, and I didn't know, you know, YouTube was just starting. It started to become quite the thing during COVID. And that's how a lot of people learned how to dance and exercised on YouTube. And it's just exploded since then in all different kinds of niches and genres. And that's how I discovered bag making tutorials. It was after COVID, of course, but, you know, it's a great way to learn how to do something. I do better visually with a tutorial, like Barbie's tutorials. I do better visually to watch how it's done, because one thing, like that's the beauty of YouTube, is you can stop it, go back and watch it again. You can zoom in if you have to see things, and you know, it's not like something that's live. Mind you, if it's taped, a YouTube live is taped, you can still watch it and go back years later. But that's the beauty of this. It'll be around for years, and somebody 10-20 years from now, hopefully, is still might be watching it, and hopefully I'll be around in 10 or 20 years. Okay, so now I have it all clipped, all turned into this way. I'm going to still sew it from this side. I was going to sew it from this side, but I'm going to sew it from this side, and I'll sew it 1/8 of an inch in. Oops. Where's my edges? Okay. That way I can flatten it. The gusset and lining is still up. I can still clips are in the way. Okay, I'm just gonna, ouch. Okay. This still squishes everything down. These guys. And it'll catch everything on the underneath or underside, I guess. But this will give you a nice finished looking binding as well. I don't make binding where you fold it in half and sew and iron it, and then you take the edges and fold them in and iron them. I do as little ironing as I possibly have to. I don't hand sew if I don't have to. Well, I don't hand sew. I won't. Okay, I'm just going to move the zipper out of the way because it's coming into my way here. Sometimes this zipper just doesn't want to move because it's so stiff around these corners. And sometimes it's hard to see. There we go. And it's getting hot. The air conditioning has just kicked on. The sun's starting to swing around this side of the house. This is southwest. And if we didn't have all these trees covering our house, we would be able to have great sunsets. Wasaga Beach has the most amazing sunsets. Unfortunately, we can't get down to the beach to see and to see much because they've got it all under construction. They're revitalizing the beachfront and turning it into a tourist area. Unfortunately, we were able to take the truck, grab a Tim Hortons coffee in the morning, early in the morning before all the beachgoers got there, and just sit there and have a nice coffee when it was peace and quiet. Or at night, we grab a Dairy Queen and sit there and watch the sunset. But now we can't even, they blocked off the parking lot with construction. And my husband has a mobility issue that he can't walk far. So unfortunately, they've cut off all access for any accessibility for anybody who has any mobility issues, for anybody who wants to get to the beach, because now you're going to have to walk forever you're going to have to park so far away and to get down there. But I guess it's all in the it's all about progress. And like I said, we are in a tourist area. All right, so let me just grab my lighter. So like I've claimed in the past, my binding is not the best, but it will do. Okay, so there you have it. There's my joins. It's not the best on the other side, but who's going to really look at that? Okay, so that's the one side. Now I am going to sew and do that. Now we have the back to put on. And what I'm going to do this time with the back, I'm going to put the double-sided tape all around the outside edge of the back panel to help everywhere it stick. Because the gusset part that we're going to be putting on to the back panel is thicker than the zipper gusset side, so there won't be as much give, and the double-sided tape on this side will help. Okay, take that off. I love double-sided tape. Okay, I still have my zipper undone, and I'm just going to take my top where I've marked out the top, and I'm going to stick it onto the top notch on the back panel. And clip. When I started sewing, we didn't even have these clips. We just had pins. I'm not fond of pinning. Maybe that's why I like bag making, because there's not often you use pins. But this bag, honestly, it does come together much faster than when with doing a tutorial. It does come together quite fast. It's sticking to the double-sided tape. All right, we'll just get around these corners at the top. And I'll probably have to snip at the bottom. Yeah, maybe I might use this bag myself. I have 5 more to make just like this. And of course, I'll be making more in different fabrics and stuff like that for the vendor shows. Actually, this fits in quite nicely. One little trick that Jess from Okla Roots does is when she's pinning on her panels to the facing, is she puts the facing going down and the panel on top, and then it kind of sits in, kind of pushes in like a bowl, and that helps to line the edges up even better too. That's another trick. These aren't my tricks. I can't take credit for them. But it's good that other people have figured them out, and they mention it, because it all helps us in the long run. Yeah, this one's fitting quite nicely. Should have done it with the other side, but the other side you're wrestling with the zipper as well, and it's pretty tight to the zipper for the stitching, so it's a little tight in there for sewing. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew all around here at the seam allowance in the pattern. I'm not wrestling around a zipper pull either, but I am wrestling around all these clips. So got to get them through my machine here. Make sure that your D-rings are pulled out of the way, because we're working on the side that the D-rings are attached. This Rex is very pliable, so it's nice and easy to move around, even with the foam in there. Just a lot of stopping and starting, pulling your clips up, but also moving your bag so that you don't get puckers in the corners. A lot of wrestling bags. We don't wrestle alligators or crocodiles, we wrestle bags. Last corner, and then we get to bind it, and then we get to turn it. Okay, so there, I have it all. That was easier sewing that than it is easier sewing the zipper part, believe me. So I'm just going to trim that up. All right, I have to still cut some binding for this side, so I'll be back. Okay, so I am just going to take this on this side, and I'm just going to lay my binding down first and sew it down, and then I'm going to fold it over and finish that up. So this should go a little faster, hopefully. I'm not sewing quite within the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. I just find it easier this way. I don't have to clip it all on the first time around, because I just line up the edges as I stitch. And as I only sew in sections anyway, so I just lay it down, lay the lining down, matching the outer edges of the, you know, of what I'm binding, and just sew a little bit at a time as I work my way around the binding, or work the binding around the bag. Just goes a little faster. Clipping takes a long time, especially for me, because I'm not the fastest clippist. As I've already said in the past, I'm not the fastest. But definitely this bag does work up much faster than a tutorial, because there's a lot of explaining, there's a lot of talking. You know, my dad's always said, and the picture's just up here. He's been gone almost 2 years now, and he always said, you know, Teresa, you talk too much. Teresa, you talk too much. Well, you know what, Dad? I'm putting that gift to good use in these tutorials. I can sew. I've, you know, taught myself to sew home ec was basic, but taught myself to sew years ago, making clothes, and then retaught myself through YouTube tutorials how to sew bags. And why not put my talking gift, I guess you could call it, to use. All right, I'm just snipping off the binding. I have a little extra. I'm just going to come up to that edge, fold it over, and oh, I did it again. It just lifted up. Okay, guess what, guys? We're on the last step. Okay, so the binding has been all sewn on. The edge, we're turning it all this way. Now we have to clip. Okay, got the raw edge. We've got it all nicely sewn on this side. And then I'm just going to fold that raw edge over, and then fold it in half, and then fold it in half again over top of the seam. Yeah, because I want to sew from that side. Or the edge, to create a nice finished looking binding. And even though like this is waterproof nylon, the edges do fray somewhat. So you definitely want to have them tucked in and tucked in, folded in and folded in. And I probably with this edge, I could have got away with a 1 inch wide binding to make instead of the 1.5 inches. But it just adds more stability into the binding and into the edges, which will create more of a skeleton of the bag and help to make help the structure of the bag be a little more firmer. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody who is watching. I appreciate also everybody who has subscribed. So, and if you're here watching and you feel like subscribing, down in the bottom right hand corner of the screen is a little red subscribe button. So just click that and click the notification bell so that you can make sure that you get notified for all posts. I am getting better at figuring out the the system on how things work. So like I said, I've just had my channel for a month and it's doing quite well, and I'm very, very thankful for that. And I'm thankful for all of you for subscribing and hanging out with me to sew and listening to me natter on. If you're interested, my website is www.tree60handmadebags.com. I have current inventory for sale on my website, so bags that I have already made, custom bags that I can also do for you. I do have some bag hardware there for sale, so when you're on the main screen, I know I use my phone mostly to see the website. So the bags are at the, scroll down, you'll see all the bags I have for sale. Then further down will be the hardware, and you'll see all the hardware I have for sale as well. So yeah, so check out my my website at www.tree60handmadebags.com. If you're on Facebook and you want to join my Facebook group, just search for Tree60 Handmade Bags for Facebook group. I'll have all that linked in the description box below, in the description box of this video, as well as the link to Brenna's store, Sunshine Stitches, on Etsy, and the link with the Tree60 code will get you right to her Etsy store. And I believe the link will automatically be applied for 10% off the pattern and those amazing templates that I never realized how much I would love using. Okay, we're almost done. Okay, let's sew this on. We'll sew this binding on and get this bag turned. And check out my other videos as well. There, I have my initial sewing room tour. Who knew that would get almost 10,000 views by now in 1 month? Like a sewing room tour. But then of course I am constantly moving things around in here and coming up with a better layout system for me. But so I have now a sewing room tour 2.0 because I rearranged things that were working for me at the time and for when I started recording for my video tutorials. And I've done a new, so I wanted to show some of what the new setup was for that, and also some of the things that might help you in your sewing room as well. I talk about the wheels on my chair here. I changed them out and I explain all that. The lighting that I use here, I have an old ceiling fan that's going on above my head right now. And the light bulbs I use, because I prefer a white light. I just don't like a yellow light. In fact, my Kenmore, you can just see it behind me there, the yellowish machine, my old vintage Kenmore has a yellow light bulb in it, and I have to pull it out and look at what kind it is so I can go on Amazon and get a replacement bulb that is a white light. So the light bulbs in my ceiling fan, I use, I think they're Philips brand, but they're a daytime white light bulb. They're not yellow, and they're a little more expensive, but they're definitely worth it because I like a cool looking room. I don't like a yellow light, and they definitely add more brightness, a daytime brightness into the room. Look at that. Oh, there's the tag. It's all sewn in. Look at how this has turned out. Isn't that beautiful? This might be my bag. There's the 3 card slots, big enough to put at least 2 in each one. All bound. All right, let's get things ready. So here is the crossbody strap, the wristlet, and the tumbler strap. Okay, let's turn this out. This is easy to turn out. That Rex is actually quite flexible and easy to use. So just make sure that your corners are all nicely pushed out. A lot of times what I was doing, I would take, because the lining does sit up against the zipper, and I was pushing the binding down up against the front panel and top stitching all the way around. But I did that in the purpley orange bag, but I didn't do it in the pink one. So I'm not doing it this time. But a lot of times I do that just to make sure that the binding isn't in the way of the zipper, but it's actually not too bad. Oh, is this ever cute? Hold on. Pushed out, so just pull the zipper over top of the binding a bit, make it a little bit more curved. Okay, you ready? Look at that. How cute is that? A nice Canada flag, Magnolia Rae Traveler Pouch. So there's the front, there's our one of our sides with our D-ring connector, there's the other side, the bottom, and of course our connector, and of course I've got my bag tag on the back. Usually, like I said, I put it on the front, but I don't want to take away from the star of the show, which is of course the maple leaf. And so here it is as a wristlet. Of course, we all know what the wristlet is like. And then you can clip on the crossbody as well. I can get it on. Oh, blissfully, the air conditioning's come back on. It's just getting so hot. Actually, I like the white strap with the red stitching. So there is the crossbody strap with the red wristlet. That did turn out, see it this way better. With the red stitching, it looks actually quite nice. So, okay, I'm going to stand up. You're going to get to see all of my hernia in its glory. Okay, isn't that cute? That's the perfect size. So this is the perfect size. That is really, really cute. Check that out, eh? All right, now let's put on, I'm just going to take all these off, take these guys off, and then we're going to put the strap on. The tumbler strap is a little more difficult to get on because it's a little tight going through that strap. So I want to make sure it goes, oh, actually this one's going through pretty good. I'll get my tumbler. Pull this one off. Oh, my husband's sneezing his head off again. Okay, now disclaimer, this could fall forward. There isn't any water in here, so I know if I put my phone in here, it will fall forward because it's it'll be top heavy from the bag, not because it's not a stable setup or anything. It's just because there isn't any water to hold it down. So as you can see, if I was to pull this tight, it will slide because my tumbler is pebbled, but there we go. There it is. How cute is that? And of course I can turn that a little bit more this way so that that's not in my way. And you know, if you're just making it for yourself, then you can adjust the size of this and not use the same size as what she has in the pattern. But this works out for mine because I have a 40-ounce tumbler, and I do like, you know, the fact that it's more secure with the handle. Isn't that cute? I am just loving this. I love the look of the Canadian flag. And Brenna, you outdid yourself with this pattern. It's really, really cute. So get your pattern if you haven't sewn along from Sunshine Stitches on Etsy. And the link to the pattern is in the description box below on this video. Let me just move myself up a bit. There we go. So the description is in the pattern link is in the description box below on the video, with the Tree60 code to get your pattern and or your templates at 10% off until August 22nd, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you'll be able to get them on sale for 10% off. Thank you so much, Brenna, for that. Thank you so much for sending me the templates to try out, and check out my cutting out video for this as well, and the other videos. So thank you so much, Brenna, and thank you everybody for watching. And let's see what all of your Magnolia Traveler pouches are like. Join my Tree60 Handmade Bags Facebook group and start posting your stuff on there as well. All right, thank you so much, and take care, and we'll see you on the next tutorial.